Good morning, everyone. It is my honor and pleasure to be back with you all again today. Wish I could say I could see your beautiful faces, but I know they're out there. I can see a few close here. It's very bright up here always. Here we are. It's December. Can you believe that it's December already? It's our first Sunday in December. I love that music. It's really going to tie in nicely to our talk today. December is our month. The theme of our month for December is finding your North Star, finding that star of guidance, finding that star of Bethlehem, if you will. The first Sunday in December is the first Sunday of Advent. It's the beginning of the Christmas season. It's the beginning of Hanukkah season right now. It's beginning of the seasons of light. Traditionally, this is for many different reasons, much of which has to do with the dark season and the shorter days, the lengthening nights, and the hope and the belief that the sun will come back, that there is light in the darkness. So the theme for this month is that star of guidance. The star is one of my favorite symbols of the Christmas season. The star in the story of the birth of Jesus, the star guided the wise men to the place where love was being birthed into this earth. I love that imagery. The guiding of the wise men, the wise people, if you will, the wise ones, the guidance of the wisdom to the place where love can be found. So we all need some form of guidance, some star to guide us. We all need a point of reference to return to in our spiritual growth, in our coming together as community, in our family settings, in our corporate settings. We all need something that guides us, something to return to. If we don't set a course, we will wander. We can wander aimlessly. And I don't know about you, but I've done that. I've wandered aimlessly at times, wandered in my life, wandered in my relationships, wandered in my relationship with Spirit. I've wandered at times. But coming back to that guiding point, coming back to that star of guidance, will bring us back to our course. Now, the thing about that is that we have to actually set a clear course in the first place. My topic for today is refining our aim around that star of guidance. But before we can refine our aim, we actually have to set the course appropriately. I love the imagery of and the metaphor of flying a plane when it comes to this kind of thing. Because here's the thing, if we don't set the course properly, we won't hit the course. We won't hit our target. And when you're flying, even 1 degree off of your course can make a huge difference. It actually makes such a huge difference that after 60 miles, you're 1 mile. For every 1 degree you're off course, after 60 miles of travel, you're 1 mile away from your target. So the further you fly, the further you travel, the further you go in your life, if you're not on your target, the further away you get from your target. I've heard it said that most of flying is about course correction. Most of flying, yes, there's takeoff, yes, there's landing, but it's all about course correction, getting back on that target, getting back on course. So, but you got to have that course set properly in the first place. This time of year, we look at that star, the symbol of that star, and we use the imagery of wisdom and love as guidance. The wisdom of the wise men, the love of the baby in the manger, and the birth of that imagery, the birth of that Christ presence, that divine spark within you, the birth of that and its tenderness that needs to be sheltered, guarded, and tended to, nurtured, if you will. As a community, well, as an individual, you will have a variety of things that you aim for. You will have throughout your life various goals that you set, various hallmarks you wish to attain. But throughout the ages, the sages have always encouraged us to have a few basic core things that guide us, basic core things that we shoot for, like love, like wisdom, like patience, virtues that help us get along as a group, help us get along in larger community, help us get along as nation, help us get along with our higher power or our source. As a community, the Centers for Spiritual Living has a guiding star. And that guiding star shows up as the vision that we declare every Sunday, a world that works for everyone. Think for a moment about your personal guiding stars. What are they? What are the things that really, what do you return to? This time of year, some of us return to family, and that's a good thing. Some of us don't want to return to family, and that can be a good thing, right? It's different for everybody. Sometimes we have traditions that we return to. But think for a moment about your core principles. And if you don't know what they are, I invite you to take this season of the dark, which is traditionally used for going within, the season of light, the return of the light, and spend some time and think about what your core values are, your core principles that don't necessarily come easy to you, but you know that they are of value to you. Perhaps there's a growing edge involved. Perhaps you want to become more kind or more giving or more patient or more loving. And remember those things as we go through this morning and through this month, looking at the value of that North Star, that Star of Bethlehem, that guiding star, that principle that we lean toward. And think about the miracle that a world that works for everyone would be. Think about that. A world that works for everyone. Sometimes when we say things over and over again, we say them in rote, like you've heard David mention every Sunday and our practitioners mention every Sunday, to say these words fresh and new every day. The reason being is because when we repeat something over and over again, we can become numb to it. So think about, for a moment, fresh and new, a world that works for everyone. And if we let that be the northern star, the star of Bethlehem, our goal, our star of guidance, if we let that be that, what does that look like? What does it look like for you in your interactions and your behavior? Because it's initially really easy to stand and think about what we think it looks like for somebody else to do, what they should be doing, or they should be doing, or they should be doing. But think about what it means for you. A world that works for everyone. How do you participate in that? And I know that each and every one of you do this. I see it whenever we come together in the bringing things in to give to the community, showing up for one another. And I know that you do it in your everyday lives. And this time of year, we're given the opportunity to be refreshed in that and to look at it anew. Because that star of guidance, here's the thing about stars. You know what? There are stars out there right now. Stars are out there, but you don't see them out there right now because the sky is filled with light. Even on the gray days that we've had recently, the sky is still filled with light in such a way that you don't see those stars. You see the stars the brightest in the darkness. In the darkness. And so sometimes we got to get down in that darkness and then look up and see that star that's guiding us. And here's the thing about your star of guidance. It's always with you, whether you're standing in the daylight or whether you're standing in the dark. It is your guidance. It's your GPS, whether you're in the best times or in the worst times. On any given Sunday, in this room, there are people who are at the top of their game, and there are people who are hitting bottom. Any given Sunday, the sound of our voices from this platform reach out into the world where there are people that are hurting, and there are people who are in great joy. It's always going on. So it's not always all dark, and it's not always all light. It just always is. It always is. So our star, we want to set the right course. We want to be headed in the right direction, because we can fool ourselves and think we're headed one way and be off course just a little. And then by the time we get there, boom, we find out that we weren't going where we thought we were going at all. And I know we've all had those times also. So you want to be sure to set your course truly and carefully, and being conscious and aware of where you're directed in your course of action, in your course of growth, in your next phase of being. We find ourselves in that time yet again. In personal life, the seasons turn. The seasons of our lives, the seasons of our bank accounts, the seasons of our work. In community, things change. People come and people go. They touch our hearts, we grow, we love, and then we stand on that higher level that they brought, and we move to the next level. We take that and we move forward in the course that we've set. As a group, Centers for Spiritual Living moves toward a world that works for everyone. Now, sometimes we have to, once we've set our heading, we frequently have to adjust our course. We don't just set autopilot. Oh my goodness, autopilot. Anybody hear the story this week about the guy who was found asleep driving his car because it was on autopilot? Okay, his car was on autopilot. The driver was asleep, traveling 70 miles down the road because he was somewhat inebriated, from what I understand from the news story, um, on autopilot. So autopilot just now takes a whole new meaning. But we can't afford to be on autopilot in our spiritual lives. We can't afford to just cruise on autopilot as we drive down the road of life, or as we maneuver as a center or as a larger group of centers, as a country, as a nation, as a people, as various races, whoever it is you represent at any given moment. You don't want to be asleep at the wheel. So, I know, I just thought of the musical group too, Asleep at the Wheel. My musician wife just chuckled because Asleep at the Wheel is actually one of my, I love that group. I love Asleep at the Wheel. But, so, play on words, love it. So, but we don't want to, in our spiritual life, we don't want to be asleep at the wheel. We don't want to veer off course, because remember, for every mile we travel, every 60 miles we travel, we're a mile off course, just from 1 degree of variance. That's a really powerful metaphor, because it calls us to be awake in our thoughts, in our words, and in our actions. Those are the areas where you move and do and shake and make, where you make things happen, where you create, whether you are aware of it or not. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, they show out what your course is. They give you clues along the way, whether you're on course or not. And so I wanted to come up with some catchy ideas that would be easy to carry home with you for how do we refine our aim? How do we get back on course? Because here's the thing, it doesn't mean you failed when you're off course. Again, part of flying a plane is returning to the course, getting back on course, because winds are going to blow, storms are going to happen, stuff is going to happen that's going to pull you slightly off course. But then when you're awake and aware and you return to the course quickly and easily, there you are, back on your heading. So I thought, well, let me just use the word star. Star, your star of guidance. So here's some ideas around the word star. So S is for stillness. S is for stillness. The stillness is one of your most powerful tools for returning to your course, for getting back on course. The stillness is the only place I know of that I can truly hear my star of guidance. The only place where I can really be in touch with it. Now, there's a lot of competition for stillness in this world. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of competition for stillness. The 10,000 things to distract you from your moments of quiet prayer, your moments of connecting. And I want you to remember that the actual connection isn't something you just read about or hear about. It's an experience. You have to actually go there. And it takes a little time to get there. It takes a little time to practice it. But being in the stillness that's the place the fountain is, the fountain that quenches that deep thirst. The stillness is the place where we hear the voice of that star that's guiding us. We hear the voice of wisdom. Now, sometimes we do need a little help getting to the stillness, and this is where reading material or listening to a meditation can help. One of my favorite sources for stillness material is the Tao Te Ching. And so I'm going to read a couple of just short little excerpts from the Tao Te Ching. From chapter 10, the Tao Te Ching tells us, it actually asks us, can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take care of themselves? Do you feel the stillness in that? That's the stillness that does without doing. Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? I don't know about your mind, but my mind gets noisy. My mind says, do this, say this. They need you to do this or else. Especially about my kids. They need you to do this or else. Can I be still? Can I step back from my own mind and thus understand all things? And then from chapter 15, do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? I love that imagery. When my granddaughter was just a little tyke, my first granddaughter, we would read this book together called Moody Cow Meditates. And one of the things that we learned to do, one of the things Moody Cow would do is his grandfather created a jar with sparkles in it. And when Moody Cow was upset, they'd shake up that jar and then they'd sit in stillness until all the sparkles settled. Stillness lives there. Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? This is the stillness that can be found in the dark that surrounds the star. We get scared of the dark. Oh, the dark, it's scary. It's not that scary when you're still and you let the velvety darkness highlight that star so that you can return to your course. So stillness is our S in star, okay? Our T in star is turn back. Turn back to true. Turn back again. Turn back again. Find that star, and however many times it takes, turn back over and over again. Don't beat yourself up for the fact that you have to turn back. Just turn back as soon as you notice, through your awareness, through your mindfulness, you notice that you're off course. The sooner you notice, the sooner you can turn. Make the turn. Make the turn. Make the turn. Because a lot of times what we do is we get all flustered that we have to make the turn, which delays making the turn, right? I can't believe it. I'm here again. Here I am again. I'm here again. I know you all have been through that. I know you've said it to yourself. I can't believe this has popped up again. It's okay. Make the turn. Turn back to the course. Because the more we spend flitting around, fussing about having to make the turn, we ain't making the turn. Just make the turn. Turn. You know, I love the image of quicksand. I don't know if do you ever think about quicksand? You know, we don't live in a world here in the U.S. with quicksand, but there are some parts of the world where quicksand is a real thing. Okay, it's a real thing. What do you know about quicksand? Okay, first of all, you can step in it without knowing you're going to step in it. It's very well camouflaged. Okay, so you end up in the quicksand. What else happens in the quicksand? The more you move, what happens? The deeper you go. The more you move, the harder it sucks you in. So the stillness is important. okay? Being still in the quicksand so you can collect your thoughts and get your bearings. Being still is important in that quicksand. And turning to that guidance is important in the quicksand, okay? Turning to where is my star, gently, not thrashing about, because it's just going to suck you down more, the more you thrash about. So you make that turn, And then the A in star today stands for ask for help. Because think about this, if you have fallen in quicksand, ain't nothing in that quicksand going to get you out. Okay? I am not kidding you. Nothing in the quicksand is going to get you out. You need help from somebody that's on solid ground. All right? You need help from a higher power. You need help from that divine mind that's not buried under all your fear, but the divine mind that's on the solid shore, on the edge, that can reach in and grab your fanny. So you need help from something greater than yourself. You need help from your community. You need help from your mentor. You need help from your higher power. You need help from the God of your understanding. You need help from just somebody whose arms aren't full so they can open the door for you. Whatever it is, you need to ask for help. But here's the thing. Help wants to help you, but it's not going to help you if you don't ask, because there's kind of this hands-off policy. All those angels surrounding you, they want to help you. But you got this agreement that you may have forgotten about that says, I'll ask for help when I'm ready for it. And so they'll step in if you're about to veer so far off course. But most of the time, they got to stand back until you ask for help. So we ask for help through connecting with that divine mind. And I wanted to share some of Ernest Holmes' words around that briefly here. Ernest writes, "We are to let the mind be in us which was in Christ Jesus." Note carefully the manner in which the expression is used, the mind which was in Christ Jesus. This means the mind of God, not our personal mind, the one that's thrashing around in the quicksand, remember? Marvelous as this mind is, it with its different ramifications, but the mind which Jesus used, the divine mind of the creator and ruler of the universe, ask that mind for help. To have the same mind that Jesus used implies a power which is available to all and may be used by all. The mind which was in the Christ was the mind of truth. Hence he became the way. But we are also to become the way, and this can be accomplished only when we use the same mind that he used, which is the mind of God. And so we are blessed with the opportunity to call on that greater mind. The being within you knows that the spark of the Christ presence, the birth of the light within you, knows that it's connected to that star. It knows that it has all that that greater light has within it. But it needs you to ask for that to be birthed, to really take hold of it, and to let it bring you back on course. So we spend some time in the stillness. We keep turning back. We keep turning back. We ask for help when we need it. But then we have to be willing and able to receive that help, don't we? We have to receive that help. If you're in the quicksand and there's your Savior, whatever that Savior may look like, standing on the shore, throwing you a rope or trying to hand a branch to you. Some people in the quicksand might say, quit poking me with that branch, right? I've done that. Quit poking me with that branch, until I finally realize, oh snap, I'm in quicksand, and reach out and take the branch. Let yourself be pulled out of the quicksand. Let yourself return to the course. We let ourselves be filled with so many things. Oh my goodness, maybe this is it. Oh my goodness, over here, no, there's a new thing over here. Oh, wait, I don't want to feel these feelings, so I'm going to numb myself with this, or with this, or with this. When we stop doing all that, we become still. We turn back to our star of guidance. We ask for help, and then we receive that help. A whole miraculous world of possibility opens up. All of a sudden, a world that works for everyone doesn't necessarily seem so impossible, because there's help, there's guidance, there's a willingness to turn towards that which works. Sometimes hope gets a raw deal, okay? Sometimes hope shows up a lot in this season. We see the word hope. Hope was in the music we heard. And yet sometimes I read material that really gives hope a raw deal. But I want to invite you to think about hope with me for a moment. As you're imagining your star, as you're coming in more alignment with it, as you're thinking about this holiday season, whatever the holiday means to you, I want us to consider hope for a moment. Because hope does a very special thing. Hope is a stepping stone to faith. Think about that for a moment. Hope is a stepping stone to faith. And faith is important because faith is a stepping stone to trust. Trust is important because trust is a stepping stone to belief. Hope, faith, trust, belief. Then once you're in belief, belief is a stepping stone to knowing. Knowing is a stepping stone in and of itself, because knowing is a stepping stone to being. You follow me? Knowing is a stepping stone to being. And whenever we are saying our affirmations, whenever we're doing our prayer work, whenever we're sitting in the stillness, turning back to our guidance, asking for help and receiving that help, we are doing the work of being. The great call is to be the thing. Be the change we want to see in the world. Be a world that works for everyone, rather than just hoping for a world that works for everyone. Hoping is important because it leads eventually to being. And that's one of the things I loved about the song that Adam sang just before the talk today, because it opens up the heart to that area, that feeling of the miraculous, and welcomes the possibility of new things for us to be, not just talk about, not just think about, but new things for us to be. So as you move more fully into this holiday season, And as the weeks unfold and we talk more and more about the star of your guidance, keep coming back to that possibility of being. And may your holiday season be everything that you need, that you love, and that you hope for. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm David Alt, and I simply want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time to watch our broadcast here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We have a vision, and that vision is to reawaken all to their spiritual magnificence. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is through this very medium of broadcasting. So if you got anything out of this, if you felt in any way inspired, or if something spoke to you directly, then I extend an invitation to you to become a part of our family by donating. And there are many ways in order for you to be able to do that. One is to simply go to our website at slca.com, and there you will find all different kinds of prompts that will help you support what it is that we are doing here in Atlanta. One way is to become a pledger. That means that you decide on a monthly basis that you are going to help us with this vision. Another way is to donate through our management system called Fellowship One, another through PayPal, and another even easier way is on your cell phone. You can do what's called text to tithe, and that number is 404-796-7030. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I invite you to come back weekly to see what it is that we're up to. Blessings.